everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. I'm glad you're here because you're listening to the most horse-powerful podcast on the internet. It's the Xbox Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Brian Murford. He's the weatherman on the moose, and on our journey today, there's been a whole bunch of stuff that came up after that their Xbox showcase, so let's jump on into the Xbox Drive. Bro!
No power greater than X.
Hello, Sean Capri.
Hello, Ryan Turford. How are you today, my good friend?
I'm doing well. You know, the weather, it's a little rainy today here in Toronto, Sean.
Gosh,
it's a cool 18 degrees. So, I mean, it's not a normally crazy day, but, you know, it's slightly rainy outside. But how are you doing, Sean?
You know what? It's rainy here as well, Ryan, and I'm glad that we got the show up and running. I'm here in a hotel room. You might have noticed the intro a little bit weird. The walls are paper thin here. I'm right around the corner from the elevator. Who knows if this internet is going to hold up for us today, my friend. I just started Audacity after screaming the intro, so we're making it work, man. By hook or by crook, we are here. And you know what? Shout out to Crispies, who is in the Discord asking. This is for you, man, because I'll tell you what, we barely made it across the start line, my friend. But I know Crispy was asking about when we go live. We're here. We're going to do it. Let's do it.
Absolutely. And Sean, if only the people at home could see the picture you showed me of your set.
How this is working, man.
It is ridiculous. The technology we put together to somehow make this car go today.
Yeah, we're on dial-up internet, I think, Ryan.
Yes, exactly. Well, we don't want to tempt the gods of fate too much more by delaying the show. So, folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of ways you can do that. Number one, if you're watching the live stream right now over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, or if you're watching the video on demand later, don't forget to like the video. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, because come on, what are you doing if you haven't subscribed? We're one subscriber away from 1,500 subs.
Oh.
One subscriber, Sean, which is kind of crazy. Maybe we'll hit it during the show. I don't have YouTube open to pay attention to this, but if it happens, it happens. Also, if you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to rate us there. And also, leave us a nice little Apple Podcast review if you're feeling so inclined to do so. And last but not least, if you want this like a big audio feed with all of our content on it, as well as some exclusive content, you can head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/carpoolgaming, just like Jonas Young did. I made sure to remember to pull this up, Sean, because I almost forgot this. Jonas Young, who we're welcoming back at the gold tier membership. So thank you to Jonas Young for hopping back in the Discord with us and or the Patreon with us, and also everyone else who subscribed to us on Patreon. I really appreciate your support. Well, without further ado, Sean, it is time to grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It is time for the playlist. And one other thing I should note before we get into today's show as well, we're not going to be running down, the Xbox showcase this week because we already have an entire episode dedicated to that. So if y'all missed that episode for whatever reason, it is on the podcast feed and right here on YouTube as well, including we also have a separate video of our full reactions from the showcase as well. So both of those are available right now on the YouTube channel. You can go watch them there. Well. All right, Sean. What have you been playing? Because you're currently on the road. Actually, hold on. Tell people where you are real quick, because I know maybe you wanted to have people meet up with you tomorrow.
Yeah, I am currently in New York City. I'm not going to give away the hotel details. We'll leave it. They'll be able to tell,
Sean, because they can see the inside of your hotel room. They'll be like,
yes.
Oh, I know that hotel. I've been in that room before.
Ryan, this is the entirety of the room, man. Like what you're seeing, it's not like, oh, there's a big area over there. Like this is it. I'm on the bed. Like that's it. That's all the space that we got in here, my friend. So yes, I'm in New York City until Saturday. I fly home on Saturday. I'll be working on Thursday. So yeah, if you're in the area and you want to meet up, it looks like Badbit and I are going to be meeting up at the Nintendo World Store at Rockefeller Plaza on Friday. So yeah, but on this note, Ryan, on this note of travel, it is probably the first ever time that I wish I had like some sort of Steam Deck. First ever. I do have my Switch with me over there beside my Sea of Thieves backpack. But I needed to sleep. I was on a red eye, so I'm just kind of like getting adjusted here, Ryan. I'm just
Okay.
my flight took off at 1 a.m.
Oh my
and
gosh.
my hotel room was not ready for me when I arrived. So I was forced to go wander the streets of New York City today.
With all your stuff with you and everything too,
Well, at
probably.
least the backpack anyways. I was able to leave one of my bags here, but yeah, it's been a day. It's been a day, but we're making it work, man. But on your to your question, I am level 46, 47, I think, of Diablo 4. I've
Mhm.
made it to Act 3.
Excellent. You finally are getting through the story, Sean.
I'm getting through the story. Are there 6 acts? Did I see 6?
There are 6, but
Okay.
the act 4, 5, and 6 are smaller than the first 3.
Oh god, the first 3 were very short and pretty formulaic too. Like I think, not that I was really expecting anything mind-blowing out of this experience. But I think I'm starting to see maybe that difference between a high 8 and a low 9 that we were seeing on the Open Critic. I don't know if you feel differently. And maybe things will open up differently for me as well when I hit Paragon levels at level 50. So
Yeah.
like it's on a solo kind of trail, it's same old, I would say. But the fact that this thing does allow us to play with so many people and we all have it, and it's crossplay has been the fun. And I know we're going to talk about, well, hopefully we'll talk about 33 Immortals, because man, I just cannot wait for us to have the possibility to play a game like this with 33 other people. That's all I can really think about. But I keep progressing in Diablo. We're almost there. And yeah, I wish I had a rogue ally or a Steam Deck or something with me that I could kind of bring it with me. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like if I traveled more, like, I would very much be that person, that Steam Deck or that ROG Ally person.
Hmm.
It's only because I don't travel that I'm not even really looking at those at the moment. Where the point where, bringing my analog pocket with me on, smaller commutes and trips is usually good enough. Of course, the analog pocket is a brand new, like, Game Boy and Game Boy Advance.
Hmm.
So I'm just riding the bus, and sometimes people will look over at me, Sean, and see that I'm playing like Donkey Kong 94, the Game Boy
I
cartridge,
love it. I love
just
it.
on my analog pocket, and we were like, what is going on? Why is this person in 2023 playing Game
Dude,
Boy on the bus?
I was wandering around and there was a place for sushi and ramen. So you gotta go. I gotta go there. Grab some food, and it's a packed place. Lots of great conversation happening. And there's a table next to me, just 2 people, 2 friends. And I was all by myself, so I might have been eavesdropping just a little bit. They were friends. That wasn't a date. They were just kind of catching up. And all of a sudden, like, they were talking about life and renovating houses and grown up stuff. And then all of a sudden, the lady,
Mhm.
probably in her mid 40s, goes, "Oh yeah, I've been playing that Legend of Zelda game big time." Like, and it broke out into a huge nerd conversation, which was great, because even prior to that, as I was sitting down, there was a table of buds, just a bunch of guys just having a good time, having ramen together. I sat
Yeah.
down, I had my Sea of Thieves backpack. Guy taps me on the shoulder, goes, "Hey man, I like your backpack." I'm like, "Yeah, you do. Thanks, man. That was pretty sweet." So it's been a
Nice.
good day,
Nice.
my friend.
You traveled to New York City, Sean, and you're in the cultured place of the world where people play video games.
Play video. It was, but honestly, Ryan, I was 4.5 minutes away from the Nintendo store at Rockefeller. I had to scope out the place. I wanted to send
Okay.
pictures back home. Going to be picking up maybe a whale lord, or I don't know. We'll see, some sort of plushie for the kids.
Ooh,
Hmm.
that sounds
Hmm. Some
nice. That sounds
Pokemon.
nice.
Yes, yes, Ryan.
Yes,
Hmm.
brother.
Hmm.
My God. All right. So it
What
sounds
about
like
you?
you're all in on Diablo 4. That's what you've been playing. Going back, circling the conversation
Yeah.
back to
Oh,
that.
the other thing too is just hovering around those Steam sales, the Epic sales, the summer sales are all happening because Summer Game Fest, all the June holiday season is happening.
Yeah.
So I'm hovering, man. I haven't really pulled the trigger on much, but I'm a split second away from making. Oh, can we talk about this here? About making, I was just about to say about making some bad decisions with our money, or are we waiting for
Um.
Starfield stuff later?
Well, I'm just pulling this up real quick. So, Nagachaka asked the question.
Okay.
This was a question later in the show, but we'll bring it
Okay,
up now since
we'll
you
bring
brought it
it
up.
up now. I'm sorry, I'm all over the
What is the
place.
best looking Xbox controller, and
Oh,
why is it the Starfield one? Also, which edition of Starfield are y'all getting?
Ryan,
So, Sean, guess
what did
what?
you do?
We both got the Constellation edition, I think.
Did you get it? Yes.
Yeah.
It's so expensive. Oh
But
my
it's got to
god.
watch. It's got to watch.
It's gotta watch. It's got a
Oh,
lunch kit.
Also, Sean, you're also talking to the same person who, in the same week, saw that the Avatar Frontiers of Pandora Collector's Edition went up with a Navi statue. And I got that one too.
You got that too?
Yeah.
I saw and this is obviously something more for the PlayStation Drive, but like the Spider-Man stupid edition, the 19-inch statue with Venom. Oh my gosh. Oh, and also speaking of Spider-Man, something else I did on the flight because I can't apparently sleep very long on the plane. I watched Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse for the very first time.
Nice.
And I wept like a tired baby
Aww.
on the plate, man. I was just like, this is it's so good. I know I'm not saying anything brand new, but I've finally done it. I watched it. I think I can watch it with my kids is kind of one of the things I was considering as I was watching. Like maybe this is like a screening, and I think it might be okay for the kiddos to watch as well. So
okay. Well, I'm glad that you said this right as Matt Sawinski was saying he was losing connection on the train and he had to go because I know he would have loved to hear that.
Yeah, it's a great film. You got the Constellation edition. Did you get the controller, Ryan Turford?
I'm experiencing the FOMO of not having it. There are reasons for me to wait.
Interesting.
And in which case I may just not do it right away, but I'm like this close to breaking on both that and the headset.
Oh, the headset, really?
Yeah.
Oh, the headset looks great. It looks actually kind of like it could be even like a collectible. Although that headset, I think you've tried the base hardware on that, right? Like you use that on a regular basis. It's right there.
One right here.
It's right there. Everything is within arm's reach.
Everything's within arm's reach, just like this copy of James Cameron's Dark Angel Season 1 now available on DVD, which we'll get to in a little bit.
We will. Okay.
We will. There's reasons to talk about that.
Well, Ryan, you'll notice that I'm talking publicly about the Constellation edition. Previously in the week, I just posted it very quietly in the Discord because I just wanted to secure it, okay? Because like you pre-ordered these things from Best Buy and you can cancel it. It doesn't charge you until it's going to ship anyway. So I just thought, I don't want to miss out on this thing. I'll figure it out later. And so I secured it. I quietly kind of messaged in the Discord about it, but I haven't tweeted about it, right? Okay. Because I hadn't told my wife about it.
Oh my God, Sean. That's a conversation you have to have.
So I have now. So that's like now I'm able to share this on the podcast because I felt like a child telling her like, so you know how I like space, right? Like,
oh my God.
and you know, my wife Chelsea, for those who don't know, is a huge Fallout fan.
Yeah.
And so we've bought stupid editions from Fallout games in the past.
Like you got the Fallout 76 one.
Fallout 76. It comes with the power armor helmet and everything. Like it was a big deal. So I kind of went up to her and said, I kind of ordered this thing and it comes with a watch, kind of like the Pip-Boy from Fallout. And it's this big deal. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, it's kind of expensive. And she's like, okay. I'm like, it was like $400. So like a child would in these sort of situations, Ryan, I started negotiating if this was going to be like part of my birthday present and part of my Christmas present, like Father's Day and all these things, just like adding it all up. So, but she knows about it. I've got a green light. We'll figure it out. But man, it's I'm so excited for this stupid game. Holy cow. So exciting.
Same. Which we're going to get into in a little bit, how like our excitement for Starfield, because I think both of us are pretty excited about it, and that's part of the reason why I wanted it. You know, it comes with a usable piece of technology, and it's one of those things where you have an Apple Watch, Sean. So at least you know you have the tougher tell, but as you can see by me showing my wrist, I don't have a watch at all. So like it's the perfect thing for me, someone who doesn't really have something like that, and wants to celebrate Starfield.
Yeah, this is the type of thing that I'm going to try not to think about too rationally over the next few months, Ryan, because the rational mind would talk yourself out of this. It makes no sense to have this, especially when you start to get to the actual functionality of the watch, which I have a much better watch, like it actually does things. So yeah, I don't even want to think about it because I just want to be stupid excited about this. I'm like, I've got Diablo, Forza, and Starfield all in the same year, dude. Like this is the year of dreams for Sean Capri.
It's the Sean Capri year. Well, it's also kind of, in a lot of ways,
It is for everybody.
It is kind of for me too, which we'll get into in a second too.
All right.
Yeah. Well, actually, segueing the show back on the road to my section of the playlist. Number one, I'm also still playing Diablo 4. I'm actually on Act 5. I'm close to the end of Act 5 as well, and I've heard Act 6 is very, very short. So I'm pretty close to beating it. But what's prevented me from finishing the game at this point, Sean? Number one, I've kind of been spread out between a bunch of different characters as I've talked to you about on stream before, where I have like 4 like level 30 plus characters at this point. And part of that is like with this game in particular, unlike other Diablo games, there hasn't really been like one character class that I've really felt like is fits my exact kind of play style or fits the way that I like to play the game in a way.
Yeah.
Like they all have strengths and weaknesses that I'm not super into in a way that like I wasn't expecting. Because Diablo 3, for example, like there were a couple of classes like the monk or the crusader or the witch doctor that were like totally up my alley, and I really felt like I was having a ton of fun playing as. Or even I just had more fun playing as the wizard in Diablo 3 versus the sorceress in Diablo 4. So the class fantasy has definitely hurt my enjoyment of it, or it's made me want to experiment more and try and maybe find a home. And not only that too, but I'm also working on our review of Diablo 4, and I wanted to make sure I tried as many of the classes as possible as well for that review and kind of sink my teeth in as much as possible for that.
Nice.
But the other reason is, and I've only really seen Jace talk about this, and I don't know if you've experienced this problem, Sean. The game has been freezing a lot for me lately, where
that's too bad.
I'll play the game for 20 minutes and then I'll roll with my character, and as I do the roll, the game freezes, or I get off my horse and the game freezes, or do X, Y, and Z things and the game freezes. And it really is like amped up since I got past, got into Act 4 of the game. So I don't know if it has to do with the mount or some other update they did recently that's kind of broken things, but with this game, when the game freezes, it doesn't save your progress. So then sometimes I'm losing 10 of the 20 minutes I just played before the freezing, and then I kind of have to replay those moments and then go. It's made pushing to the end of the campaign kind of miserable.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah. I've not experienced it, although I'm right behind you. I just finished Act 3, so I'm about to get a horse, I think.
Yeah. And it might just be like a console specific issue too, because you're playing on PC. I don't know what Jace is playing on, but I know he was mentioning on Twitter that he ran into this a bunch over the last couple of days. So something must have happened. And it might just be one of those things where it's like, well, maybe I wait until they update the game before I.
Bowsah said the same thing. That sucks, man, in the chat here. That sucks to hear.
Yeah, because I'm playing on Xbox. Bummer. So Jason and I are definitely playing on different platforms, but it might be a console specific thing since I haven't heard anyone with PC having this problem. Which is too bad because otherwise I'm enjoying the game and really liking it. But I'm with you, Sean, as far as the campaign is concerned, where the campaign itself, it's fine. It exists. It's not the reason you're playing, though.
Agreed.
I think we know that. And I'm excited to get to the end game stuff that unlocks after the campaign, because I've heard all that stuff is actually pretty cool. Like as far as going around the world doing like a lot of the world bosses or finishing up like a lot of the strongholds, and then doing the loot grind towards some of the crazier gear that you get on world tier 3 and 4 and some of the other challenges that come along with that, because there are other dungeons that open up when you complete the campaign and stuff. So like I know that there's a lot more to sink your teeth into after the campaign's over, and that stuff is actually more interesting, I think, the campaign itself. But I've come to expect that from Diablo over the years, playing the previous games, because they're all kind of like that.
So what you're saying is that you need to play a game fairly completely before rendering a final verdict on this, Ryan.
It's almost like one would say that, Sean.
One might.
You can't just base your campaign on just the first little bit, Sean.
Just a bunch of hype, just a bunch of children out here, just like, this is my fun place. I love it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I'm waiting for the gear to kind of like compound and just start to get like crazy here again. I might just be right around the corner from that. I feel like the leveling slows down to a point where
it does,
that's to be expected to a certain degree, but I'm not able to, like, my character is very similar now as it was 20 hours ago as far as like what I'm really unleashing. and maybe I need to do a little bit more experimentation and reset some of my skill trees and things like that. So maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I kind of was hoping for like continued progression. I just don't feel like I'm that much more of a badass here at level 45, 46 as I was at 35. And that's just a perception thing. That's just a feeling. There's nothing really objective of what I'm
I think
telling
part
you
of that
there.
just has to do with the scaling world, where because the world scales to your level, you're always feeling just as powerful as you were probably at level 10.
I guess so, but I guess maybe Vampire Survivors has ruined me, Ryan. Like I don't feel like I show up and then all my abilities start to just completely take over. So maybe I need to look at it. Maybe I need to respec a little bit instead of just like launching in and playing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense.
Which we're playing quite a bit at over at twitch.tv/Carpool Gaming Live, by the way.
Yes, exactly. Come
Yes.
join us as you will. So I've had some palette cleansers to kind of
nice.
off balance. Like I don't want to get too sick of Diablo 4 because at this point, I think my last hour count on Xbox on the game was over 60 hours at this point. So,
Nice.
and that's not including the beta time.
Yeah.
Which I spent 30 hours with the beta as well. So,
my God.
yeah, I'm close to 100 hours with this game at this point, Sean. So,
Yeah,
I've had to make sure to off balance it with other games as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been playing a lot of Rock Band 4. People have been seeing me put up pictures of it on my Twitter. I'm kind of all in with Rock Band again. Like it's super fun.
I love it.
I'm also eyeing some of that DLC, and I'm like, I kind of want to buy some of the new DLC for Rock Band because there's some good songs. So I've been jamming out with a lot of Rock Band. I would show my guitar, but it's not anywhere near me. I'm just looking around and seeing where it is. Also over on that PlayStation, Sean, I have to at least mention this. We won't dive deeper.
Oh, yes. No, tell me. I know
the Final Fantasy 16 demo came out, and holy crap, Sean! It might be one of the best things I've played all year. It's just the demo from the game. Yes, like the way that because first of all, the demo is the first like 2 hours of the story, so it's the prologue to kind of Clive's tale. Clive is the main character that you play as. So you get to basically see like him in the present and then him in the past. And it kind of sets up like his whole story arc, which I'm not going to get into for spoilery reasons. And then there's also when you beat the demo campaign section, there's also another additional thing called the Iconic Challenge, spelled like the icons in the game with an E. The icons are basically the summons.
You couldn't spell it the normal way.
Of course not. It's Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And it takes place much farther into the game, so it gives you a sense as to how the story starts to develop with Clyde later on in the game, but also gives you a sense as to all the crazy powers you have access to towards the end of the games, because you can cycle between the different summons yourself. So you have a bunch of different powers and moves. Like you have if you switch to Titan, you can do this crazy parry and this crazy counter, which then really punishes the enemies. Or you can switch to Garuda to have like this ability where you like pull enemies to you, kind of like Scorpion style from Mortal Kombat. Or you have access to the Phoenix, where you have access to regenerative skills, but also like fire abilities. And the way that this all balances in the super fast combat is just super impressive. Like as someone who loves fast action games like Devil May Cry or Ninja Gaiden or Bayonetta, like this is like my perfect game, Sean. When I look at the scale of games that are very much made for me, because it's that on top of a very excellent story with great voice acting, characters, and just incredible visuals and music. Like Soken's music, he's the composer on Final Fantasy 14, but the way he's kind of composed the music in this game is nothing short of incredible. And the way that even like weaves in like the subtle elements of the Final Fantasy melodies throughout different key pivotal moments in the game, like chef's kiss.
Wow.
This is honestly again like one of easily the best demo I've ever played, let alone one of the best things I've played this year. And the full game isn't even out yet. So it's out next Friday. So we're like a week and a little bit away, Sean, before you kind of lose me to Final Fantasy 16 at this point.
We all lose you.
This is gearing up to be honestly like probably like really close to being like a game of the year contender for someone like me.
Just from the demo. And is this starts from the beginning, did you say?
Yeah, it starts from the beginning, and your save
carries
over to the full game.
Oh, that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
That's how they hook you. That's how because I know a lot of people like I've seen on Twitter trying out this demo, and they who were on the fence about it, and they instantly put up their little screenshot saying they pre-ordered the game.
Pre-order. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Holy cow, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, like it even won Court over, for God's sake, Sean. And Court hates RPGs. So.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm loving to see it. You know, he's trying to be stubborn because that's just how he's been. I don't know. Was that how he was raised? I don't know. It's just how Court is. But he's starting to open his mind up a little bit. Yeah. And join us, Court. Join the weebdom. Yes. It's warm over here.
One of us. And then also last thing I'm going to touch on, we're 25 minutes in the show, so I don't want to spend too long. Because Sean, you know, a while ago, back on Carpool Gaming Day, we did our committed relationship game.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I hadn't finished my committed relationship game, which of course is James Cameron's Dark Angel, a spinoff of James Cameron's Dark Angel season 1 now available on DVD. And I decided, you know what? I had to finish the game. I had to see the ending of James Cameron's Dark Angel on the original Xbox, and I have done it. I have finished
Congratulations.
the game. I have gone back. I fulfilled my obligation to finish James Cameron's Dark Angel on the original Xbox. And yeah, you have more frustrations that you saw when I live streamed the game with some of the stealth elements and stuff proceed throughout the rest of the game. And some of the boss fights are just very dumb and silly. But you know what, Sean? I had a fun experience overall. So fun, in fact, because I actually kind of like the story a little bit in the game itself. Not so much the combat, but I like the acting and stuff. So it actually inspired me to actually watch James Cameron's Dark Angel season 1 now available on DVD. Because as you've noticed, it's out of its slipcase. We're now, on the back. It's got some of the characters on the show on the back. Because I've been watching this DVD box set. I'm 3 episodes in. The first episode is like a 2-hour movie, essentially, because it's a pilot.
Amazing.
But man, I think that's actually a good show. I actually kind of like it. So I'm glad that I played the game, Sean. So now I can experience the TV show in all of its glory. And then now it's like, oh, all the stuff that I know that saw from the story in the game all makes sense now. Because now I've watched the show.
Yep, that's why they do it, man. That's amazing. Look, your committed relationship it needs to be called into question here a little bit. Did you finish the game? Yes. Did you commit to finishing the game? Yes. But the committed it's about the monogamy. About it, Ryan Turford.
Well, once again, Sean, this is just clearly just a sign of how I just look at relationships in general.
I guess so. Yep, polyamorous.
What does that say about me? What does it say about me?
It's just a different lifestyle, Yeah. But the vows that you said were soiled, but that's okay. I'm glad that you finished it. Glad that you could update the audience on the latest opinion on James Cameron Dark Angel on original Xbox hardware.
Yeah. Don't forget, it's also available on PlayStation 2 as well. But
how could I forget? How could you forget,
Sean? Because
you know what, Ryan? You said something. I ended up finding a store here, just like all sorts of stuff, manga, comics, and video games. So if you have something that you might think is difficult to find, let me know. I could go searching for you. I could go look for you. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Oh.
Yeah. Some cool stuff over here. I'm in a whole new place.
True. It's true. You are in a whole new place.
It's very fun. You can just kind of disappear. There's in the sea of people, Ryan. Like you do
just
whatever
like
you
Jason
want.
did in the hit movie Friday the 13th Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan.
That's right. Yep.
Even though half that movie takes place on a boat.
Okay. I have no idea what's happening right now.
I don't know either. That's why I'm slamming the brakes on this conversation.
Good idea.
It's time for some breaking news.
Yes.
And we'll talk about this a little bit because, again, first of all, we don't have a lot of new news because we covered it on the myriad of showcase conversations we had, because we reacted and talked about it, the Ubisoft conference and the Capcom conference and the Xbox One and Summer Game Fest. So conversations for all of that stuff are available on the podcast feed and on YouTube. So you don't need to worry about that here. We're not going to dive into too much stuff. But the news I wanted to talk about, Sean, is that the news we got from the Xbox Extended Showcase.
Yes.
That we got a little bit later. Now, a lot of the stuff that we saw there was and I don't know if you got a chance to watch that showcase, Sean.
Did. Yep.
Yeah. It was very much just, giving us small details on stuff we already knew. So I didn't find a lot of it newsworthy, but this one story in particular, I thought was important for us to talk about. Because The following idea at Xbox games are coming to Game Pass day one.
Yes.
They had a giant sizzle reel and they put up a blog post about this later. And I don't know most of these games, but 2 games I'm going to save for the very end. Of course, we know very well, which we'll talk about. So we got Tectonica, Little Kitty, Big City, Another Crab's Treasure, Galacticare, The Wandering Village, The Bookwalker, Tharland Halbert, Maneko's Night Market, and then the 2 big games, Sean, Neon White and Sea of Stars, all coming to Game Pass day and date. In fact, it's funny, and I can't remember who brought it up to give credit where credit's due. Where for a long time, Sean, we didn't even think Sea of Stars was coming to Xbox, let alone we found out later it's coming to Xbox, and then it's coming to Game Pass day and date, which is crazy to think about. So, what do you think about this news? Because I think this is a pretty big deal, especially with Sea of Stars and Neon White. But what do you think?
I'm a huge Neon White fan. It was my game of the year last year, I think. I think that I ended up crowning Neon White there. The fact that it's coming to Game Pass is such a huge win. It's a little late, but people need to play Neon White. It's been my prescription if anybody's been having a rough day, or if you're just seeing a bunch of just garbage on the internet, go play Neon White. So here it comes onto Game Pass, which is incredible. Sea of Stars, man, looks so good. I actually feel like we're both being like, I'm very interested in Sea of Stars, but like my game of the 2 is Neon White, and I think Sea of Stars is very much a Ryan Turford game.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'm like very, very excited for Sea of Stars. Everything they've shown of Sea of Stars is fantastic. The demo for Sea of Stars was fantastic. So I'm just excited for that game to finally come out. Especially because Sabotage, the company that makes it, first of all, they're a Canadian studio. They're located in Quebec. But their last game, The Messenger, was also really good too. Like I really enjoyed that as well. And it was also a very different game than what we're getting with Sea of Stars. And of course, I love role-playing games. So you bet your bottom dollar, Sean, I'm getting Sea of Stars. And at this point, like I was, looking at, picking up Sea of Stars on Xbox, but now I don't have to because it's on Game Pass. I've already basically bought it at this point because I've got my Game Pass subscription.
I have a question for you, Ryan, out of this, and maybe there's some other things that threads that we can pull with this showcase extended. I saw our good friend Kyle over at the Trophy Room lament that there were some news that wasn't at the Xbox showcase, like the main one that did show up here. This being probably what he was referencing. Yeah. What do you think about this? Like, I'm of 2 minds of it. I understand where Kyle's coming from because this did seem like it was pitched as almost like ancillary or supplementary content, but there definitely was some stuff in there that was you would only get here. Like they gave you reasons to tune into this extended showcase that exists in a way of the Nintendo Treehouse kind of thing that they used to do. All like not quite there, but Xbox has finally got to a place where they can do a showcase like at E3, which is an hour and a half of pretty dedicated stuff. And then like a traditional kind of showcase. Then they did the direct style, which Nintendo has done, where they hone in on a single game. And then they did the Treehouse thing where they had this extended video, which I liked. I think Xbox had a really good week in the news this week. But I'm curious for you, like, would you have rather seen this idea Xbox stuff at the main showcase on Sunday?
No, because honestly, I think like they could have done that because they didn't have. If memory serves, I don't think they did a sizzle reel in the main show other than Phil doing the talking and having the sizzle reel kind of go. But they didn't really have like a traditional sizzle reel, so maybe they could have put it in there. But honestly, I feel like this news stands better on its own day. Like I actually think like there were more eyes on this news by having it be on the extended showcase, the next day versus having it as part of the main showcase. Because I really feel like it probably would have been lost in the shuffle with everything they announced there with Starfield, with people talking about Persona or anything else that they announced at the main showcase. Like I feel like it would have been lost in the shuffle in a way that they probably like it makes more sense to put it at like a showcase the next day, or if they're going to do an extended thing. And to your point, Sean, they needed reasons for people to tune into this. So they needed to have some announcements here. And yes, the announcements they also had here that we're not going to touch on really are, all smaller things. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to do this, but this was also kind of like the one more thing of that showcase as well. So, I mean, I feel like they elevated it at the showcase it appeared in, it just wasn't the main showcase. And I think that's okay with something like this.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was glad to see it. I was glad to see more news that people could get excited about. And yeah, no, I'm perfectly fine with this. And it's neon white coming to Game Pass and Sea of Stars. So yes, I thought it was really good. There was a moment there too with Keanu Reeves. I thought that was really good. They kind of had we got the best of both worlds. We got our Keanu moment in the main showcase, and he did his thing. But then he kind of sat down with I think her name is Tina.
Tina
Amini, from IGN.
Yeah, she used to be on GameScoop every week because like that. I was just going to say shout out to Tina Amini because she like crushed it because she just joined Xbox recently.
Yeah, she did amazing. I actually really quite enjoyed her in the hosting chair, but then also in that interview, like we got to see a lot of different sides. So for those of us who've been introduced to her maybe for the very first time, but of course coming over from IGN, I thought that was a really good little bit. And then we saw Paris over in Budapest.
Budapest. Yeah, for Flight Simulator while they're driving a boat instead of a plane.
They could have done that anywhere. They could have had it in LA. They could have done it wherever, like wherever he's from. He might even be from LA. I'm not sure. But they fly the guy to Budapest to go talk about Dune in Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I thought was again, I thought it was a good place for that. Like trying to shoehorn that into a regular showcase, it would feel weird, but it felt right at home here. They got to be a little bit silly. They know Paris and the whole bit that they've got with going fast, and they did the Top Gun thing before. It's a good fit, man. So you're starting to see these characters and these influencers and these personalities show up in their various places, and I thought it was great, man. I'm actually quite beaming with this showcase.
Yeah, and like I think the extended showcase was really, really solid. Like it was well paced. Yes, I don't think we learned a ton of new information, but it was cool to see some extended looks at some of the other games. Like
we did learn something, Ryan Turford. Phil Spencer has a new title.
Yeah,
did you see it? Gamer.
Yeah. We also
was amazing.
We also saw them play that 33 Immortals game.
Yes,
as well with 33 people.
Yes, I've been struggling to try to bring it up on my iPad on this amazing, wonderful hotel internet Wi-Fi that I've got here. It's barely working. But honestly, Ryan, that was one of the highlights I wanted to talk about with this was 33 Immortals, the studio that did Spiritfarer before. Gamer Phil Spencer sat down with the devs, and there was one really interesting thing. Well, there's many interesting things, but one that jumped out to me was when they started making the game, they had decided already that 33 was going to be the number, but their studio didn't have 33 people working there. So they couldn't even fill up a roster with the people who worked on the game. So like, I don't know. I just think this game has something very special going for it, like this underdog, like let's go for something big and weird with 33 on there. And they showed us what the gameplay was like, which I definitely wanted to see. And you're not all together. You're actually kind of all over the place on the map, and you can coordinate in different ways, Ryan.
Yeah, like it sounds like you want to complete different objectives on different parts of the map, and then eventually you meet up for like the final kind of push it towards the end.
Is that like a Muso kind of thing? Like, is that kind of like when I saw that map, it almost looked like a Warriors kind of thing.
Actually, it's like reminiscent of like old World of Warcraft days, where if you're running a raid bosses and stuff, you'll have like different objectives across like different sections of the giant raid boss arena. And so you kind of like separate into different groups, and then you kind of meet together to beat the boss kind of thing. It's interesting though. And that was actually that was also they closed the show with that too, to show
it was a highlight,
how
man.
much they believed in that game.
Yeah, definitely a highlight. And I mean, between that and the ID at Xbox, like indie games really showing up, like going toe to toe or side by side, shoulder to shoulder with Flight Simulator and Cyberpunk 2077, which continues to look really, really good. So I liked it. It wasn't anything. This was the one thing that we didn't stream and live react to here at Carpool, and I think that's fine. Honestly, I think that would have been weird to react.
No, we've done that kind of thing before with like Inside Xbox, which was very much what this was trying to be, where it is a lot of interviews and stuff, and it's like it's hard for us to kind of talk over that, you know. So like that's why we didn't do that. But I think it was a good showcase, and I definitely don't think they wasted people's times with this.
Agreed.
Again,
Yeah.
like even some of the smaller announcements, like Hi-Fi Rush getting that arcade mode, for example, like that post game content, as well as some of the other things they announced here were pretty cool. So yeah, I think it was a good showcase.
I like it.
Neat. And also too, like I'm glad also they didn't save like a huge game reveal or something like that for this kind of showcase, and kind of held that back from the showcase. I felt like they had a good balance with that news. Like it wasn't
Totally.
like the Nintendo Treehouse that I thought about when you mentioned Nintendo Treehouse, Sean, where they announced Metroid Prime 4 at the Nintendo Direct, and then during the Treehouse, that's when they announced Metroid Samus Returns, not at the Nintendo Direct, but at the Treehouse,
right,
of all things. And
and
just like
Treehouse, the Treehouse thing is definitely it's there's still another extreme for Xbox to reach with the Treehouse thing, which is like an 8-hour stream.
Right.
Like it's just forever, and yeah, no, I don't want to go full Treehouse. Let's just stay this sort of like mini version inside Xbox.
Like it seemed like
way.
perfect for like a 1 hour.
Yeah,
show.
I agree.
And also like way better than when they do, if you remember, Sean, a couple years ago when they did Twitch Presents,
totally
the Xbox Indie Showcase, and then that was like 4.5 hours long, and it was too much.
And it gets to be something different. I've been very loud about this. I don't want to see just like hit go on a video of a bunch of trailers back to back to back. Like I do want to see some sort of presentation, some personality. Shout out to Ubisoft again for at least bringing it. I think it was Joey Ferris who called out like the E3 cringe moments when they introduced the Blood Dragon anime dude just standing there like all costumed out and everything. Like, yeah, that's not a bad thing. Let's just get into the camp every once in a while.
Exactly. Although it's a shame, Sean, because that is the one trailer I had to remove for copyright reasons from our Ubisoft reactions, because of course we had to. I'm sorry, everybody. But yeah, it was a magical moment if y'all joined us live to watch us actually live react to that.
Yeah.
But Sean, I want to shift into cruise control. With the topic of the week. And this is a very short topic, so we're not going to spend all day on this. But this is actually something that we used to do in the old Game Moose days, Sean, that I wanted to resurrect a little bit here. And that's kind of like what you probably saw in the thumbnail, joining the video here. So first off, before I get into what it actually is, we're going to bring in the Muffin Mon, who kind of teased this up a little bit. Kevin Ainsworth, the Muffin Mon, asks, now that we've had a few days to sit on it, what is y'all's favorite reveal at either the Xbox showcase or the extended showcase?
Ooh.
But I wanted to open things up a little bit because, Sean, I want us to, as the Xbox Drive, as an editorial outlet, as you would, as a podcasting, company, we want to decide, crown a Xbox game and show. What was the best thing we saw on Xbox at any of the showcases? Because I'm gonna, even though Kevin's question was specifically the Xbox showcase or the extended showcase, we already kind of answered that question when we did our Xbox showcase reactions, because we did that right after the showcase, because we did talk about, okay, what was our favorite thing we saw there. So I want us to kind of, now that we've had a couple days to marinate on this, what do we think was the best game we saw all a week on Xbox? I think there's a couple big contenders, like Star Wars Outlaws is one.
Yeah,
we all kind of agreed on was one of the best things we saw. Another one was Starfield, because of course it was. It's definitely the game it kind of needed to be. But just opening up beyond just the Xbox showcase, I think one of the best games we saw was Prince of Persia, the brand new 2D Prince of Persia game. I think was one of the best games we saw, just from a gameplay perspective, as well as everything else. As well as, Persona 3 Reload, I think was another strong contender for fitting in this category. Like, I think there's a lot of directions we could kind of go with this. So Sean, I want us to open up the discussion with you, because like, I'm curious to know what was the best thing that you saw that's on Xbox over the last week?
Well, before I jump past it, I actually think typically what I would do is acknowledge Starfield, a game like Starfield, and then go into something else that was also very impressive. But I actually think I'm going to give the flowers to Starfield. And that might just seem like of course, like Starfield got its direct and all these things. But I was compelled to go buy a $400 stupid edition, basically from this, from the direct itself, which followed the main showcase, as well as it just being there. But what I would want to say about it, Ryan, is that you and I talked about this leading up to it. My arms were crossed. I was not impressed with what I had seen before.
Yeah.
We were lasering rocks to pieces. It was No Man's Sky, too much No Man's Sky comparison that they brought up themselves the first time that they showed us Starfield. And this Starfield looked totally different, by the way. And if you look, there's some really good posts out there of people looking at like the glow up that has happened. Very similar. Hopefully we have a different outcome here, but very similar to when Halo was delayed that full year, and you saw the Craig, and then you saw kind of afterwards, it did like it looked better, and there was quite a bit of shot by shot screenshots and comparisons for Starfield. So I feel like that's the one. And in some cases, in some extreme outlets out there, we're saying the Xbox brand and the future of Xbox as an ecosystem rests in the hands of Starfield. And I'm with you, Yarden. Yarden in chat saying the only answer is Starfield. Like, I feel like it's almost too obvious, right? Like, it's almost because of course it is. So I want to give it a little bit of flowers. I don't want to skip past it because this could be the next, Forza, Gears, Halo, Starfield. Like that, it could launch itself right alongside some of the most important IP in the Xbox ecosystem, which is awesome. That's great. But there's a lot of, with great power comes great responsibility with that, Ryan. So I could go on, but Starfield is the number one pick, but I could generalize it honestly to first party. Xbox's first party showed up, man. I don't know if there's anything from the first party that wasn't great. And I'll even throw Flight Simulator into that mix as well. I feel like everything was there, made sense. It wasn't like, what are you doing? It was, we got to see from Compulsion Games, which was incredible. So yeah, man, first party came out to play. Oh, one bit of news that I'll just touch on before I throw it back to you. Avowed. We learned a little bit more about Avowed in its scope and scale of it. This is not Elder Scrolls. It's not Skyrim. This is more the size and length and that kind of thing with as Outer Worlds, Ryan. How do you feel about that?
Which is honestly perfect. Like, honestly, that's the way I would want it to be, where Outer Worlds, for folks that haven't played it, the campaign itself was very quick. Like, you could beat the campaign in 4 or 5 hours if you wanted to play the campaign. But that's not the main reason you played Outer Worlds, because there was a ton of content to explore in Outer Worlds outside of the main campaign, tons of side quests, tons of dungeons or other things to find in the environment, which is exactly what I'm expecting from Avowed. And in fact, when you compare it to the Elder Scrolls, like with Skyrim, in fact, it's on the same kind of trajectory as something like Skyrim is, where Skyrim, you can beat the campaign for Skyrim in 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
Where, you fight the big dragon guy, you go to the mountain where you hang out with the dudes that are humming the dragon songs, and you call it a day kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's how long the campaign is for that. And there was tons of things to do in Skyrim after the fact. So I'm expecting something similar with Avowed to that or Outer Worlds, where it is the campaign's very short. If you just want to mainline the campaign, it's there. It's not going to take you that long. And then the rest of the world is your oyster to kind of play around in at that point.
Yeah, man.
So, which I'm totally fine. I know a lot of people online have been like all up in arms about that, but I'm like, no,
give it to us. Give it to, like, we will get our Starfield is our 4,000 hour RPG. Like, we can go back and forth. That's the magic about this, is that we can actually have both, so I don't think it's any lesser than, and I almost want to like squash that part of the narrative as best that we can in our small little corner of the internet. Like, it's like, I actually hate it. I hate that even has, because it's just it's a metric. It's a measurable, it's quantifiable, which makes it a speaking point and a bullet point for narratives across the internet. And that's stupid. Outer Worlds has been praised since the moment it came out as a game that people should play. And if this is where Obsidian sits, I'm stoked about it. Like, keep it going. We need more and more games like this. And I know Matt Booty was talking about how game development now is between like 4 and 6 years. We don't need every game to be the biggest game ever. So Obsidian, keep doing your thing, man.
Well, and it's something we talk about on RPG Cave all the time, Garrett and I, because like, it's one of those things where like RPGs have gotten longer and longer and longer over the years, and like when you look back on the Super Nintendo days of RPGs, where we have some of the best RPGs ever made, not all of them are super long. Like, you go back and play something like Chrono Trigger, you can beat that in 15 hours, or
Yeah.
like, well, any of the old Mana games, like Secret of Mana is a fairly short game too. Like, and all those games are praised despite the fact that they're not super long, and that's okay. Like, not every RPG or not every game needs to be that long. Like, I think there's a lot of room in that RPG space for shorter RPGs. Like Sea of Stars, I'm expecting something similar with that, where Sea of Stars, I'm imagining, is going to be a fairly short RPG.
Yeah.
And that's good. I think that's a good thing. Like, I think that, like, as long, the main thing is, as long as when you play it, you feel like you're satisfied with the experience they gave you, then who cares how long that is?
Totally.
At that point.
Yeah, the Outer Worlds especially, there's just so much character in that game. Like, it's not about sitting in that world for 1,000 hours. It's all the different choices that you can bring to it, which is at the heart of a good RPG anyways.
Yes, same with Obsidian's games in the past, like Knights of the Republic 2, they actually made that comparison of as well. Or something like South Park: The Stick of Truth, which they also
good
made.
one. Yeah, Stick of Truth. My wife beat that twice over the course of a couple of weekends, actually. So yeah, man,
it's super short. Like, you don't need
one.
that. It doesn't need to be like this super long experience to be fun or to
I love
give
it.
you a good time.
Totally.
So yeah, that's what I also saw a lot of people down on Avowed because of the art style as well. That's a whole thing that's been blowing up too, which we're not going to get into.
No, I'm good with that. And we're also, we're not tackling really any of the internet is on fire topics this week, because I thought Starfield looks gorgeous and I can't wait to play it. That's
the fact that people, I saw the commentary about Starfield that I saw is just like, I was shaking my head.
It's ridiculous. It takes away from everything about the game. And, you and I chat about this all the time. Nobody else writes the show notes for this podcast but us. We choose what we talk about. So I'm geeking out about this Constellation edition and negotiating with my wife like I'm a 6-year-old and talking to my mom about a Christmas
We're talking
present.
about Starfield controllers and James Cameron's Dark Angel. Like,
yes,
we make the rules, Sean.
Exactly. The
cops ain't gonna stop us.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I actually came prepared with like a bronze, a silver, and a gold. And the reason I did that was just so that, depending on what your choice was, we could then kind of match up and come up with an our actual game of show together. Because my bronze trophy actually goes to Metaphor, the new game from Atlas. And that game looks incredible, and it's definitely going to be up my alley. And from what we're seeing, Sean, it's possible that that's actually an Xbox exclusive, because
I know
because we got the trailers, the embargo lifted for all 3 of those games as far as announcing what platforms they're on, and then they announced all the platforms for Persona 3 and Persona 5 Tactica to be on PlayStation and Switch, but we haven't got any information other than that this game is coming.
I called it, man. Like, I pointed out the logos, and you guys were probably right to presume that would, like, how would that happen? But we may live in a world, Ryan, where we have an Xbox exclusive Atlas game.
Yeah,
and
which
feels
is just
good.
Crazy to think about, because
feels good, man.
No, and I pointed this out in the Discord a little bit earlier. There isn't a Japanese event that is happening for Metaphor on the 20th, so next week, and they might announce there that it's also coming to PlayStation 5, because it's not coming to Xbox One, so I don't imagine it's coming to PlayStation 4 or Switch.
But they didn't even say Steam.
No, they said PC.
They said Windows. They said Windows PC. Like,
that's true.
It's this weird Microsoft ecosystem thing that's happening. So I don't know. Maybe it's a time thing. There's still question marks around it. But yeah, and this is something that Atlas does do. They have had exclusives for PlayStation. They've had exclusives for the Wii U, by the way.
Yep.
And they've had, like, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time.
Maybe they finally did it, Sean. They finally got Atlas on board.
Ryan, this task that you have is very difficult. The 3, the bronze, the silver, the gold. Like, I'm having trouble with this. I'm not going to lie. And I will say, maybe I'm going to throw an honorable mention to something that is going to surprise people. And my honorable mention, my copper medal, I guess, or your 4th place spot, is Forza Motorsport. And it's I'm excited because it's Forza, but I still wish that they showed us. I have the same comments about this showcase as the last one, which is like, let me play it. Like we should actually be seeing this game, and like, what is not even just the show me cars racing fast around a track. That's not necessarily what I'm looking for. But what is the gameplay loop? Like, what does it look like when I get into the game and move from one circuit to another? Those kinds of things. So I that keeps it from the medal standing. From my
that's kind of and likewise, that's kind of how I felt about Metaphor as well. Whereas we saw a lot of gameplay, but it's like, we didn't have it enough to kind of have it shoot to the top of my list here,
Mhm.
because my next one we saw a lot of Star Wars Outlaws, which, you know, I thought had a really
Yeah.
impressive gameplay demonstration. Like, that game really impressed all of us when we watched it on the live stream. And it's easily like one of my most anticipated games coming out of the showcase. But I actually agree with you, because my goal that I even came up with before coming up with this conversation, Sean, is also Starfield. For all the reasons
Yeah.
you talked about, it sounds like
Yeah.
it's going to be a genre-defining RPG, and I mean, I really, truly feel like it's going to be. It is the one game that's releasing this year, Sean, that might actually beat Breath of the Wild in review scores.
Yeah. Yeah. It's possible. It's really doing
possible.
something new. It's doing something that is exciting people. So I'm with you. I think so. Are we
I think
like
we agree.
presenting
We're
the Xbox
crowning.
Drive?
Yes, congratulations, Todd Howard and the team at Bethesda Game Studios. You have
Okay.
officially been crowned the Xbox Drive's 2023 Xbox Best in Show. Congratulations. There you go. A winner is you, as one might say.
Congratulations. And my hotel internet is barely keeping up with us as
Well,
we
let's
close out the
answer
show,
this
my
one
friend.
last question real quick from the Goobla King, who asked the question, what kind of characters do you plan on making in Starfield, and what will their roles or jobs be? This is a simple question for me, Goobla King. If there is an assassination job, if there is a job to be an evil person who blows up planets, or be like the Emperor of the Galaxy, or a Darth Vader role, as you will, Sean, I will gladly take up that mantle and be that person, because of course I am. Because I'm gonna play a bad guy, like I always do in Bethesda games. That's just when Preston Garvey somehow appears in the galaxy and tells me a settlement needs my help, I will then go to that settlement and blow it up, like I did in Fallout 4.
Oh my gosh, that is so savage. Holy cow, right?
But that's just the character I like to play in Bethesda's games. So,
Oh my
because they give you the
gosh.
freedom to do that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, how often do you get to say you do that in video games? Like, that's the appeal for me. It's like you don't get to play as the bad guy.
Less and less,
So I
more
like
and
that
more,
idea.
because they don't have the gall, Ryan. They don't have the courage that you have. These games that we've seen from BioWare and the infamous games, the data all shows that people can't be the bad guy. So
Yeah.
now we're not getting those
I think it was like
choices anymore.
80-20 in Infamous 2, which is just
It's ridiculous.
for
Yeah.
playing good.
Yep.
Like, how?
Yep. Come on, guys. Live out your fantasies. We all know that they're in there. Your intrusive thoughts. Dude, I have so many answers for this. I don't know. And it makes me overwhelmed a little bit, because even just a single playthrough will be more than I can handle. But like, I kind of alluded to it on Twitter a little bit. Like, I kind of just want to be a wide-eyed, just space geek, just wandering the skies and marveling at the science of it all. But is there like sort of like an explorer, I guess, kind of mentality to it? I just want to go see all of the things.
They
I
haven't
don't know.
really talked too much about the jobs. Like, we don't have a list really to pull from, so we're kind of like giving like
Yeah, they
very
alluded to we're
vague
making up our
answers.
own. Yeah, we're definitely making up our own. Yeah, I don't know. Like there's a diplomat kind of element to it as well. Like, kind of maybe the opposite of you, where you're trying to blow everything up. Like, maybe there's like bringing the human race together. Like, that's what space does for me, man. I geek out about it a lot. It's like, let's just, the borders and all the things, it's all nonsense. The things that separate us here on Earth, it's so silly. Like, what unifies us across a galaxy? Oh my gosh, like that's kind of what I want to see here in Starfield, my friend.
Yeah. Very nice, my friend. All right, we should probably get out of here before your internet buckles under the weight of your massive laptop. But before we go, Sean, plugs go.
You can find me on Twitter at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. You can find me in New York City at the Nintendo New York store at Rockefeller Plaza on Friday. So please DM me. I'm also in Discord at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. Twitch.tv/Carpool Gaming Live. You can buy our merch at carpoolgaming.com. And I think that's it for me, my friend.
Very nice, my friend. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. You also find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, right here, youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, and of course, podcast services around the globe. So for Sean Capri, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 295 of the Xbox Drive. Only 5 more episodes before episode 300, and we're out.
After we celebrate episode 300, I'm sure we're going to have lots of things to give away and lots of reasons to celebrate. The community around us is so amazing. After that, we're going to start counting down to the days until Starfield and the stupid edition that gets in my grubby little hands. Bye. Bye.